Hi, folks. You are watching and listening to a very special edition of Open Bar on Tequila Aficionado Media. I'm Mike Morales here in Southern California. That gentleman out there is.
I'm Bryce Taylor, coming out of Austin, Texas.
You folks who have watched us at Tequila Aficionado for a long time probably recognize Bryce. Bryce does a lot of his own tastings on your Instagram channel. People, he has a huge following on Instagram. Tell people, in fact, before we get into this, I want to get some background on Bryce. First of all, Bryce, how did you get involved in the tequila tasting? What drove you to start doing your own videos and exploring this crazy world that we're in?
Yeah, so it all started with my sister was gifted a nice fancy bottle of tequila, and she's like, "This is sipping tequila." Well, I grew up in Texas, so we're fans of tequila, but it was always just in margaritas. And so I was like, okay, let's, other than, college and shots and stuff, but, true sitting down sipping, I didn't do. So I tried it. I really liked it. And I was like, okay, so there's a sipping world out there. So as I got into that, I just like to research things. And so from there kind of took me to, another very popular bottle, and then started taking some photos. And then I just noticed that when I was sipping them, I was smelling them probably longer than I was actually consuming the tequila. And, and the more you learn about things, you see what other people are doing, such as yourself, to where it's like you're going in there and you're pulling out those characters. And, it's tough to do at first because, you have to have those reference points. And then I decided, I was like, I was really getting into it. And I was like, I need to go to Mexico. I need to go to a distillery. So I used my 40th birthday a few years ago as an excuse, grabbed some family members, and we went down there and just did I think we had five distilleries. And I've been back on one other trip since then.
Who did you visit?
So we hit Patron first, and then we hit El Pandillo, and then from there we went to I know we did Herradura, and then Cuervo and Fortaleza on that trip.
Yeah, you pretty much captured all the highlights.
Yeah, and then the second trip was right before the pandemic, and we hit El Pandillo again. It's amazing. La Alteña, went to Suerte, and then the Vivancos at 1414.
Excellent. So you got all your bases covered. You've got those the distilleries. If you're not familiar with some of the names that we just kind of threw out there, those are tried and true distilleries with pedigree, generational families that have been making tequila for 4, 5, sometimes 6 generations, or upcoming 6 generations. And so you really, I think your wish list got really, I got to go here and I got to go there. And like you said, it sounds like you were very well researched in who you wanted to visit or revisit,
right?
To get even deeper, do a deeper dive into what you were tasting. For instance, El Pandillo does G4, Pasote, Terralta, one of my favorites. They also do Volans for private label, and maybe 1 or 2 other ones. But I've met Felipe. He was actually a guest at one of our tours that we did at El Cholo in Pasadena, California. The importers who were bringing in G4, Jeff Ernst and Sean Miller, brought him in, and he held court. Man, that guy is amazing. It was funny because I got caught we were getting ready for the show, and I hadn't put on a shirt yet because we were just still setting up, because this was an outdoor show. And he and I got into a conversation about his brother and about the tequila industry and the agave, and before I knew it, it already had started, and I go, I gotta go put on a shirt because this guy, you did 20 minutes, you listen to him and you just shut up and listen. So, and I speak Spanish, so it was even better, because it was he was telling me all kinds of interesting things. The guy really is a mad scientist. When it,
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's quiet, but he has a presence. He has a big presence.
well, he's quiet only until he starts talking about his juice, and then
Yeah.
I think he comes across as very shy. But whereas Carlos, on the other hand, Carlos has a long time. His brother Carlos Camarena has a long history of speaking in public, and so he really does command a crowd, when he can. So um, the reason we're talking to Bryce is not only because Bryce, tell people what your I don't know, what do I call it, your company, your club, what it is that
Yeah.
you started in Austin, because you obviously fell in love with this stuff. So what is the name of your business, I guess, is what.
Yeah, we'll call it a hobby or Austin
Well, I don't want
Tequila.
to call it a hobby because that's how it starts, and then it gets way
Yeah.
more serious than that.
Yeah, so I was kind of looking for a local tequila group, couldn't find one, so I was like, well, I'll just start, what I started and see where it goes. But yeah, it's Austin Tequila Connoisseurs, and it's where I post, my tastings, kind of ratings, reviews, opinions, mostly
Uh,
on Instagram.
this
Yeah,
is this is on Instagram and Facebook, correct?
Facebook. Yeah,
Are you anywhere else? Do you have a YouTube channel or anything like that, or?
I do. I hadn't really promoted it much. It's essentially all the videos I use for, Instagram and Facebook. I just started archiving them on YouTube. But yeah, it's out there.
Okay, all right. So it's Austin Tequila Connoisseurs for those. And you have a nice logo that I don't know. Did you draw the logo? Is there somebody in your family, a graphics
No, I have
artist? Or?
my best friend. He does art and graphics, and so I just sent him general pictures like, hey, these are agave things I like. What can you do? And so that was his creation.
That's
So
cool.
it's great. Yeah, he did a really good job.
So what's your background? What do you do for a living? Because I obviously don't do the reviews for a living. Because
Yeah, no. I work for the city of Austin, so
oh,
um,
okay.
law enforcement. So
Okay.
yeah, so
That's
totally different.
I was gonna say it's an interesting dichotomy,
Mhm.
but it's not out of the ordinary. I've actually met people in this business who have been longtime sheriffs and law enforcement and even LAPD, and they're just big fans of agave spirits, tequila in general. Whether they're collectors or uh, connoisseurs or whatever. Do you consider yourself a collector or just or a student? I mean, what?
Yeah. No, not really. I consider myself, a drinker, to where I'll buy bottles, but they're all going to be opened, you
Oh,
know.
okay. So you don't archive your bottles, and you don't go after like ancient bottles of Jose Cuervo that like
No.
Caesar does in Las Vegas.
Oh, no. I mean, I've got like, first generation G4, the old white label,
Oh
but
yeah.
it'll be opened. Other things like a Fortaleza, the Lot 43A, so sure, I've had it for a while, but it'll get opened. And then I don't chase a lot of the older stuff just because for me, I'd rather keep trying things, and it's expensive. Everything at this point, it's on the secondary market. So,
Yeah.
I appreciate it. It's great. I will always try it, sample it when and where I can, but yeah, I don't really chase or collect bottles.
Okay. All right. It just I'm not sure if you're married, but
Yeah.
I assume you are. Does your wife share this love, or does she pull the reins on? Most husbands get their reins pulled from the wives, and the other wives just love it. So I don't know. Everybody's different.
No, she I'll say partially. So she loves the margaritas. So all the cocktails I make, she loves, but she loves going on the trips because we love the Mexican culture and the trip is it's you're immersed in culture and we love that and we're kind of Central Texas, so a lot of Hispanic culture just here locally. And so when we're down there, I mean, she does all the tastings and everything. She doesn't finish every glass, but that's fine. She pushes them over my way. But she'll do tastings in that sense, or every now and then, I just kind of hand her like, hey, knows this, try this, and she'll do that. But as far as just sitting down with a neat pour, it's not totally her thing. But
okay.
and as long as I keep the mail deliveries kind of spread out, I don't get in trouble, But get 2 or 3, a week, then I got to spread them out. But other than that, she's
the recycle bin gets really full.
Yeah.
The reason we're talking to Bryce also, folks, is that Bryce, for some reason, which surprises me, is actually we're about to record his final for the consumer catador course. He after today, he will be a full graduated student of the consumer catador course, and surprised me because when I found out, and he's been doing this off and on slowly for about a year, and this is a self-paced course. If you're not familiar with it, you can find it on our website at tequilaaficionado.com. They're all available on Amazon as well. You can just go to Amazon and find the course. It does come with a companion tasting journal, which not really necessary, but it's always nice to have because it does carry the some of the information that's available to the students. What surprised me is that you decided to pick the book up because, like I say, I had off camera, I admitted that I had watched Bryce a couple of his reviews a while back, one of his early reviews, but I hadn't really. We're so busy with our own that I just don't have the time to watch everybody all the time because there's so many of us, out there, especially with this new generation of this new focus of craft tequilas that we're kind of all in on, and that I've been harping about for 20 years, at least. What drove you to pick the book up? Why us? Why did you? I mean, you could have just written your own book, probably. I don't know.
Oh no, I'm not quite there. I like learning about things, and I kind of wanted to add, something else. I've done the Award T and the CRT class, which is a great class.
Did you take that in Mexico, or did you take it in Austin?
I took it in Austin. It was online. It was through Patron.
Right. Okay.
So they offered that. But no, I saw the book. I looked into it. I can't remember if it's the index or something that I looked through, and I was like, man, this covers, more than I would think, more than I would have added, is kind of that like beginner, intermediate. And so I was like, this is good. Some things, obviously I knew, but, just doing the entire course, and I've always, liked the media that y'all put out. So, I already trusted the source. So, I was willing to go for it, and, I'm glad I did because, there's, a lot of tastings and a lot of, there's extra articles, the homework, which is also great. So, I mean, the book's great by itself, but I also liked all those, additional articles to read, those outside, sources. You just get another author's, perspective or writing style.
Yeah, the book was about it's a 20-year labor of love, but the book was about 2 years worth of work, and there was a lot of research that went in it, which not only did I think it was important for me, but I think it was important to actually have available to the students. It's not the additional reading is not necessary, but it is, if you're guys like Bryce who really take deeper dives into things, I think the additional information was just necessary for those of you that want to go into that. And I said this to Lisa when we first started doing this together. I said, there's going to be stuff that oak heads are already going to know, and there's going to be stuff that people have no clue. They don't even understand how a tequila gets from Mexico to your liquor store. Yeah. And that there exists certain amount of tiers, and they don't know what the laws are and things like that. And I thought it was always important to know some of that stuff because, some consumers just look for metals. They just look for the hardware that's hanging on the neck of a tequila or a glass of wine or whatever, and they buy because of that, or they buy because of a pretty bottle. And I think, was there something that was in the course that surprised you that you didn't know? I know that you and I just, when students do the homework, they send them in to me. They email them back to me, so we have a conversation. We've had a year-long email relationship, and where I get to know your views and certain things. And was there something in the material that surprised you that you didn't know? I know that there's one or two, but maybe there's something you didn't tell me, or something you want to tell the folks out there.
Yeah, I would just say, overall, the most I got, I would say, is like depth. So, I think I was familiar with most of the categories, but it seemed like every few chapters, I'm still picking up, an additional layer of depth. We talked most recently about like the palate cleansing. I'd always used, water, or even coffee to me is kind of a neutral. Yeah.
Yes.
But then you had brought up for, tastings for competitions to actually use a neutral grain spirit, like vodka. And so, I tried that and I was like, boom, I hadn't thought of that, on my own or heard that before. And I tried it and I was like, oh, this is great. Obviously you rinse and,
yeah,
let it go. But so that was, one of them. A lot of things that people are starting to talk about now, like the Tequila Interchange, project, bat
yes.
friendly. Those things had always been, even at the distilleries, they talked about it, but didn't go into depth about it. And then so y'all had a whole, a chapter and really good additional reading on that as well, which, I think is key to keeping this going.
Yeah, because all signs point to the other direction. And I think that's why, for those of you who do watch Instagram and follow a lot of tequila people, there's a one called Mission 1530.
Yeah.
Which is run by he's actually a lawyer out of Philadelphia, and he is kind of taken on the mantle of promoting. In fact, I'm wearing his T-shirt. Funny thing, I'm wearing a Bad Omen T-shirt.
Yeah.
He is. There will be in the very near future. There'll be bottles of specially aged tequila that will fund special projects for the Tequila Interchange project, and bat friendly as well. And you could follow them on Instagram. He's got way more information on his program. But I understand that Fortaleza is involved, Siembra Sula is involved, and so it's for those of us who really care about the environment and what's going on in the tequila industry right now, which it's at a turning point in its existence, and a lot of us guys like Bryce, myself, and a few others are really concerned that things could go south in a big way. But anyway, you can follow Mission 1530 on Instagram, and they've got way more information. Did you pick up not just the course, but did you also do the journal, or did you just take the paperwork offline or online? And
I printed the tasting wheel and the score sheets or tasting sheets.
If someone were to ask you what would be a good course to if this was a decent course to take or not, what would you tell them? Are there? I guess what I'm looking for is what for additional editions that we do, that Lisa and I put together, that Tequila Aficionado puts together. What else would you like to see in this course? Was there missing information maybe that was something that or did we cover all the bases for as far as you're concerned?
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, I can't think of, like, at the conclusion, I didn't feel like there was a gaping hole. From visiting there, I really am interested in the actual equipment, which, I mean, y'all go over and describe.
Right.
Me personally, I just kind of like the the nuts and bolts of it.
Yeah.
Uh, but like I said, that's just kind of a next level thing. I didn't think there was any gaping holes, and I would highly recommend it, especially if you're one of those people that like to learn about things. If all your hobbies, if a DIY person or anything you like, a new interest, if you start reading books about it, then this is totally for you because, one, it's self-paced, there's homework, do it or don't, it's up to you, there's additional reading, so you can do it as, as light or as deep as you want to go. And I also like that kind of every chapter had, homework. It, kind of kept you going, or I'd notice, I was like, oh man, I hadn't done one in a week or two. So I was like, get back in there. So, I think it's great for, anyone through the, beginner to intermediate. You're still going to learn something out of it, especially for like the beginners, because it is so well paced, from beginning to end, that overarching, it's just such good knowledge that you need to have if you care about, craft and sustainability and quality of the product.
Well, you notice that we didn't, uh, shooting is not something that we ever discussed in the, we always say no. I just, first, as a personal, I'm really appreciative that you took the time. You took a year to do this off and on, and somebody of your caliber, if you can, if you were able to pick something out that you hadn't known about before, or a few tips and tricks that you can put into your tool bag, then we did our job, and for that I'll always be grateful, because you got your own, you got your own club, you got your own channel, and you got a big huge following. I know you do a lot of tastings with other people that come to visit you, maybe some friends. And speaking of tastings, we're going to be doing. We're gonna wrap this interview of Open Bar with Bryce, because the next time you see Bryce, he'll be dissecting a tequila, but not the kind of tequila that you all are probably used to watching him break down. So stick with us. You've been watching a special edition of Open Bar. With me, Mike Morales, here in Southern California, and we've been talking to that guy out there,
Bryce Taylor in Austin, Texas.
And what's the name of the club again?
Austin Tequila Connoisseurs.
That's his channel, on folks, on Instagram. Make sure you watch and follow him religiously, okay? Because we're about to scare the pants off of him now. So, but thanks again for watching. And stick with us, because we will be back with Bryce, who will be dissecting another tequila. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned.